This week I learned that sometimes when you're maybe a little bit of a fantasy burnout, the best thing to do is to do nothing. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update as September is coming to a close here rather quickly, and we're about time to head into spooky season, right? But before we get there, guys, there are some things to talk about, most notably, what am I reading? Well, guys, I finished Fahrenheit 451. Don't have anything to add that I didn't say last week, except a great book. I guess I'll address some of the complaints about the ending. I'm not going to tell you the ending because, yeah, I know it's forever ago. I just don't feel like spoiling stuff for people. I hate doing that. As people say that it's really great, they just don't like where it ended. I think because this is such a speculative fiction book that Ray Bradbury wanted you to speculate on what happened next. Now, I know that can be rather ambiguous to some people, but I think it leaves it in a way that, hey, it's kind of maybe somewhat hopeful. I don't know. But with me, this book is all about the ideas of things that we don't want to see come to pass and a warning for those things. And there's a reason why ever since this book is released, every new generation is like, oh my God, that's what's going on right now. So it's this and 1984 and Brave New World. Those are always the books that people are always going to say, oh wow, it's not speculative fiction anymore. And I have a feeling that'll happen to generations after ours as well, you guys. But great book. I hope you will pick it up. Hope you'll pick up any Ray Bradbury. Spooky season's coming here, and I recommend Something Wicked This Way Comes. But this is always a good starter pack for anyone looking to get into one of the greatest writers of his generation. Now, I talked about the fantasy burnout, guys. It's still real. It's still very real because I read a few more chapters of Blackest Heart, and stuff is popping off. I mean, stuff is happening, and I'm just like shrugging my shoulders about it. I'm still only about halfway through it, and that's just when I decided it's just I need to take a break, clearly, from fantasy. I thought I could kind of force it, and I'm going to have a horror month coming up here pretty soon, so I'll be able to switch genres and get rid of that little burnout, but I don't want to feel like I'm forcing this book, so I just decided I was just going to put it down and just, see what comes to me next. Now, all I did was just move up Wolf's Hour by Robert McCammon. About a third of the way through Wolf's Hour so far. It's kind of a mixed bag, so to speak. I think that obviously the bar was set super high with Swan Song and Boy's Life, but that isn't the thing. With this, it's like I really, really love the flashbacks, to how Michael became a werewolf. I really like that stuff a lot. It's really good. Obviously, that's my coming of age stuff that I'm going to love a lot. The present day, the story proper is just okay. I don't know. It's like a historical fiction espionage, I guess, in World War II era. Against the German. I made the joke during my spooky season video that you can't say that word anymore. I don't know if you can or not, but against the German forces in the 1940s. We'll just leave it there. But I feel like that story in the main timeline is just all okay. I'm not a big espionage guy. I've only read one James Bond book, but with the stuff in the flashback, I really like a lot. Very horrific. I know a lot of people tell me, oh, it's not really horror. It's got a lot of horrific stuff, especially the body horror. Obviously, when you talk about werewolves, and it's talking about just like eating body parts, and it's very explicit with it. So, I consider that stuff horrific. But again, as you'll see next month, guys, when we get into spooky season, everyone thinks that something that is horror is not horror. You're always going to have that. That's just always going to be an argument with the genre. Whatever you think is horrific, someone else just thinks that's not. I don't know exactly what defines horror, but I think that Wolf's Hour definitely has a lot of horror in it. It's McCammon, so I expect a little bit of that. I don't know if I'd actually call it a horror novel. I think if you were making me kind of define this, I'd say it's historical fiction espionage horror. Is that a genre? If not, we just really created it, or I guess Robert McCammon kind of created it here. So I'm still new to the historical fiction thing, and now historical fiction with some horror elements and some espionage in it. It's obviously an interesting blend, but I'll be finishing that up and hopefully Blackest Heart before we get into spooky season here. And that leads me, guys, to what am I going to read? Well, clearly I've got stuff to work on here. If I can get through Blackest Heart in 3 weeks, I think that'd be great. Now, again, I want you guys to realize that I'm not saying that's a bad book. It's me. Usually you're like, oh, it's not you, it's me, and that usually means it's you. In this case, it's actually accurate. It is me. Because like I said, there's some really great stuff happening in Blackest Heart, and I just can't find myself getting invested. And I think it's just, it happens about 2 times a year, guys. I will have a little bit of a fantasy burnout. And I have been reading mostly just fantasy for months now. So it's spooky season could not be coming at a better time. And then obviously working my way through Wolf's Hour. And if somehow miraculously I get through those guys, and it's time to start on the first book of spooky season, which I'm starting with The Troop by Nick Cutter. A book I think that a lot of people have told me, hey, if you got kids and you got kids and scouts, this book's going to be tough for you. What do you know? I got both. So, hey, with me, with horror, I want to be uncomfortable. I want to be disturbed. So that's great, great news. So many mixed things on Nick Cutter. However, most people seem to like this book a lot. It's his other books that people seem to be mixed on. But, yeah, I'm curious to find out what's going on. A lot of people say it's a kind of some throwback to some 80s slasher horror. So that is actually my brand, guys. I'm very excited to do it. But really, that's all I really got planned, guys, because I can't start this thing I've been doing lately where I start a book and I get about 30 or 40% through it, and then I start the next book. That's never been my style. And it isn't, some people have asked me, have you maybe thought about just focusing on one book? That's not my problem, guys. That's never been a problem for me juggling multiple books. Again, like I've said in the past, to me, that's like watching numerous television shows at once. It's not a problem for me. Problem for me is I've clearly got some fantasy burnout right now. And that's why I thought the Wolf's Hour would help, but it's, we'll see. We'll see, guys. I think I'm just excited about spooky season. I really think that's what it is. But, guys, let's move along to this week on the channel. We did continue with Throne Zone, episode number 5. We Light the Way. One of the longer episodes because I thought we were very excited about the episode. We had so much to talk about. And you can see our energy level in that video. We were very, very excited to talk about that episode. So we are loving it. It's the last of the episodes before the time jump. And we get the new versions of Allison and Rhaenyra. So it was very exciting. It almost felt like the prologue has come to a close. Now we're going to get into the real story, or the setup for the real story. So there's a prologue and a setup, and then the dance is a-coming. So, yeah, we're very excited about where House of the Dragon is and where it's going. And I'll talk about that more here in a little bit. But, yeah, Monday nights, guys, we do those at 7:30 my time, Texas time. And we do those live. We love if you guys would hop in live and talk to us because we love to interact with the commenters while we do that. I also had an interview this week, with the author. I talked with Fonda Lee, the author of the Greenbone Saga. And what do you know? She is one of the nicest people that I have ever spoken with. Just a really, really awesome person. We have so much in common. I looked it up beforehand. We're close to the same age. I'm not going to give away her age because I don't want to do that to her. But we obviously have a lot of the same love for cinema and The Godfather and things like that. So we had plenty of things to talk about. And I got to ask her a lot of you guys questions. So thank you for providing those. I love outsourcing that work and letting you guys come up with the questions to ask people because I don't think I'm a good interviewer, at least not when it comes to questions. If it's me, I'm just going to be like, hey, I like Jade War. Cool, huh? I wouldn't know what to really ask these questions. Who's your favorite author? That's the kind of stuff that I would ask if I was in an interview. So I appreciate you guys doing that. And she was really awesome about answering all those questions in a complete way. I don't think that you can tell that she didn't really feel like, oh, I'm tired of being asked this question or nothing like that. So I think she was awesome, and I'm glad that she decided to come on and talk to me. Speaking of The Godfather, I did do that review for The Godfather, and I know I said last week I got to quit reviewing these old books because you guys aren't too interested in watching them. Well, kind of the same with that, but I love that book, and I did want to talk about why I enjoyed it. Yeah, I am going to be reeling back the reviews, at least for older stuff, for a while. I've kind of listening to the feedback here, and people aren't interested in non-spoiler book reviews for books that are 50 to 75 years old. I get that. I'm never going to be the spoiler book review channel just because I feel like that alienates so many people who might be interested in knowing if the book is worth reading. I'm never going to split it up. I used to do that. I used to split up and do spoiler free and then spoilers at the end, and you would watch your audience engagement just go, and that really actually does hurt your videos a lot. So I think what I'm going to do is just kind of ease back a little bit on some of the older reviews, really try to review stuff that is rather recent, because I think that is what people on BookTube are more interested in than reading some of the classic stuff. I'm not saying they're going away for good. I'm just saying I'm going to stop, except for like Stephen King, the Into the Multiverse stuff. Anything that's really, 25, 30 years old, I'm probably going to ease off that for now, and you can catch that stuff when I talk about it in my weekly updates. That's why I do it there. But hey, The Godfather, great book, guys. I really do hope that you will read it. And what am I going to be doing in lieu of those reviews, you do ask? Well, guys, I did decide to spin off. This is something I've been talking about for a while now, is when I would do like an off the books or something. I know clearly my audience loves books. they don't always necessarily care about what I think about, the Foo Fighters or what I think about like Tarantino movies and stuff. I get that. But I do want to talk about that stuff. So I have decided I'm going to spin the channel off and create Mike's Media Reviews. So it's one of those things where it was tough for me to try to say, because I don't want to have a second channel, but I said, how about a secondary channel? Now, obviously, Mike's Book Reviews is still 100% my priority, guys. Don't worry. Content's not going to change over here. It's going to be still the same output. I'm still going to be putting out stuff at the same pace that I always did. What that channel does is it gives me an outlet to talk about what I'm watching on TV and things like that. My favorite rock albums, my favorite video games, the best movies, ranking directors and things like that. It gives me an outlet to do stuff like that. And for the people who are interested in that, I feel like, hey, it'll be easier for them just to go over there and subscribe to that channel if they want to hear me talk about those things. So I hope you will, because I'd love to talk to you guys about some stuff that I like besides books. I always do love to do that. I did that before I had a book channel. So it really is just kind of like a full circle for me going back to talking about that stuff. But that's going to be it's going to be much different than this, and when I've got time. It's kind of thing. It's not going to be just exactly like a carbon copy of this. It's going to be completely different. It's not going to be the same format, rather. It's going to be, stuff like 5-minute movie reviews, things like really quick stuff. It's not going to be just like Mike's Book Reviews, but hey, we're going to be talking about a movie instead of a book. If you watch some of my movie reviews on here, you know how I'm talking about doing that. But it's going to be much, much shorter. I'll be doing all kinds of stuff over there, shorts, rankings, maybe those tier list things you guys love so much. So I hope you guys will subscribe. I'm going to pop the thing up here so you guys can subscribe over there, because you know how it is when you're starting a new channel on YouTube. Until you've got a certain amount of viewership, no one can find your stuff. So I'd appreciate if you guys are interested in hearing my thoughts on movies, TV, music, video games, things like that. You'll pop over and subscribe to Mike's Media Reviews as well. So I know some people were kind of bummed. They wanted me to kind of keep all of it on one channel. But I felt like I was alienating a lot of people who weren't interested in that. And obviously, I was never going to pull in new viewers that aren't interested in books. People who have liked my movie reviews or something, but they have no interest in me talking about The First Law for the 40th time. So I thought it was a good idea to do maybe like somewhat of a brand split and just try it out, see how it works. Now, until I get that channel up and going, I'm just kind of uploading some older stuff from, that I've done on Mike's Book Reviews. But it's not going to be a rerun channel. It's not going to be a retread. It's not going to like that. It's just until I get things up and going. I'd like to have like an official launch sometime before Halloween, where I actually start doing nothing but new content. I've had some people ask, is that going to change anything over here? The only thing really that's going to change, guys, is Off the Books is probably going to be retired on Mike's Book Reviews, because I'm going to be doing all that stuff over there now. And the TV and movie talk, I'll still be doing that on my weekly updates. Don't worry, because over there I'm going to be doing just like, reviews and stuff. I thought maybe I might kind of clip that section and upload it over there as well, like a short. But I don't know. I haven't decided yet. These things are all up for interpretation. But nothing on Mike's Book Reviews is going to change, guys, except that my non-book content is probably going away. It's going to be all over there. So I hope you guys will check it out. And that was a really long-winded way for me to say that. I hope that you guys will sub and check it out. I got my introduction video up over there, kind of what my mission statement is, and kind of a reintroduction for people who may not give a damn about books, So I thought it was a good idea, and I had the support of my wife, who thought it was a good idea as well. And she's really as my beta tester, let me know how these things are working. And she gave me a lot of good ideas that I'm going to try to pop into the channel over there. So there we go, guys. It's scary stuff, but it's always fun to try new things, right? Well, how about some next week plans? Obviously, we're going to continue with Throne Zone. Episode number 6 is going to be called The Princess and the Queen. It's going to be the first one with the new actors for Alicent and Rhaenyra. I'm hoping that people will give them a chance, because I know people did love the younger actors, and they're already kind of concerned. I think the casting director has been brilliant on that show so far, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm going to go back into the multiverse and talk the Stephen King that I just kind of mentioned. We're going to be doing The Green Mile, and I think that The Green Mile is one of his most underrated books, without a doubt. And it is absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to talk to you about it. I'll be updating my TBR for the fall. It is that time of year, guys, October, November, December. If you've watched the spooky season video, you already know what I'm doing in October, but you don't know yet what I'm doing in November and December. I'm going to talk about those plans, because I like to do those just about once a quarter, because I feel like if you did it monthly, I don't know. Just nothing I like to do. I feel like I like to set my schedule up enough that I can do it a quarter at a time, even though lately I've been kind of like, I just want to read this. Why not? So I don't know how much you trust those, but I try to stay honest with what I pick on those. And I know that First Law video that I didn't get to make this week about should you read the standalones or not. Maybe I can try to get that up sometime during the week next week. That really is the plans for now, guys. But before I go, let's do that old TV and movie talk section that I love so much. The Midnight Club, October the 7th on Netflix. Now, guys, if you don't know, this is being done by Mike Flanagan. And also, if you don't know, I think Mike Flanagan is the greatest when it comes to horror right now. No one does modern horror better than him. And I think the reason that he does it is because he develops his characters. And he shows like the romance and the emotion between these characters, makes you care about them before he starts to take them away from you. He does it better than anyone. He's a great, great character writer and director. And so I think that's what makes his stuff different than everyone else working in horror right now, where there's like, we have a high body count. We got to have a high body count. You know, he doesn't do that. He makes you care about the characters before he destroys you with what happens to them. And I don't imagine this will be any different, guys. I love Haunting a Hill House. I love just about every movie that this guy has made. Midnight Mass is going to be tough to follow up. It's becoming like an October tradition at this house. My wife and I have seen every single thing that he has written and directed, and this will be no different. This is based on the Christopher Pike novel from 1994. Seems like it's kind of taking that whole thing that what the R.L. Stine did with the Fear Street. So I have no doubt that Mike Flanagan's going to make this just absolutely incredible. The trailer started kind of like, this doesn't seem like what he would be doing. And then by the end, you're like, yeah, it does. It absolutely does. But guys, if you haven't watched anything by Mike Flanagan, you're missing out. Perfect time, spooky season, October the 7th. We will be watching as soon as we possibly can. Now, you know, kids don't always cooperate with those things, but we will be watching that. J.J. Abrams' John Constantine series got canceled. Praise the Lord. Yeah, guys, I'm a huge Hellblazer fan, John Constantine. And I'm hoping that this is the beginning of the end for J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot. I used to think that J.J. Abrams was like a New Hope. I really did believe that he was going to be like the heir apparent to like Joss Whedon. He was going to be like the champion of the nerds, and this guy just got so obsessed with like mystery boxes and all this stuff. But you see like every single adaptation that J.J. Abrams does anymore, the first thing he always says is, well, yeah, this isn't going to be anything like the source material. We're kind of doing our own thing. So basically, it's that in name only. And that's what they were doing with Constantine. But there is also another good flip side to this, guys. Keanu is coming back for a Hellblazer sequel. Now, the movie was called Constantine, and look, besides the fact that he wouldn't dye his hair, I think that's probably the best adaptation we've gotten of Constantine so far. I think Matt Ryan looked a lot like John Constantine and acted really well like him. However, it was network television. He couldn't even smoke. And for me, you don't have John Constantine without a cigarette in his hand the whole time. It's not John Constantine. So it's a kind of a happy medium there. I mean, who doesn't love Keanu at this point? But I'm interested to see what they do with this. I have a feeling it'll be much closer to the source material than whatever it was J.J. Abrams was going to do. And I hope J.J. Abrams is out at Warner Brothers because, I mean, guys, do you want to know why DC fans aren't excited for DC on film and TV? Because of people like J.J. Abrams who don't care about the source material. And the first thing that they say is, yeah, it's going to be nothing like the source material. Okay, well, hey, no thanks. Saved me a lot of time. I appreciate that. So fingers crossed, guys, on Keanu coming back, hopefully to don the pack of cigarettes, every pack a scene, and we'll get us a real good John Constantine adaptation. I'm interested to see how that's going to go because I thought that movie is actually quite underrated. I think it's actually pretty good. As a big fan of the comic, I actually did like that quite a bit. So fingers crossed. I'd like to see some more. Hey, did you guys hear Rogue Squadron got canceled? Now this was the Patty Jenkins directed Star Wars movie. And I want to know at what point is there some accountability for what's going on at Lucasfilm. Now, you guys, it's not a secret that I don't like the regime that Kathleen Kennedy has had. Her administration there has not been good. It really hasn't. I mean, you'll look at, I'll have the people who will drop in the comments and say, each one of the Skywalker films made $1 billion, you know, and here's the thing. It did, but, you know, it got cheap. It got less each time. The third movie made half of what the first movie did. And you look at this is the end of the Skywalker saga. That should have made like Avengers Endgame money. It really, really should. So I think they saw that the arrow was pointing down. They've canceled more movies than they've actually made now. And they now have nothing on the schedule. So at what point is there some accountability held for it used to be the most popular IP in movies, and you have no movies on your schedule. I would be hard pressed to believe that they just want to do just Disney Plus now. But guys, because of the way that they mishandled this is why someone like me, who's been a Star Wars cultist since they were 4 years old, is not even watching Andor. I'm not even watching Andor. And I'm hearing people tell me, oh yeah, it's really good. Andor is really good so far. Yeah, you guys said the same thing about Obi-Wan, and it was terrible. I hated it. I thought Obi-Wan was garbage. So I'm done. I'm done. Besides Mandalorian Season 3, because we do like a family night for that. My kids love Mandalorian, so we're going to keep watching that. But other than that, Lucasfilm has to win me back with Star Wars at some point. But like I said, at what point is there some accountability for how bad they have shit the bed on the big screen? I think that there needs to be some accountability here. You have nothing on your schedule right now for the biggest franchise in movie history. That makes no sense. Horrible, horrible mismanagement, guys. Just unbelievably bad. But that was my week, guys. I hate to end it on such a sour note, but that's something I'm very passionate about is DC Comics and Star Wars. And I feel like both of those properties have been horribly mismanaged by Warner Brothers and Lucasfilm. So, guys, how is your week going? Why don't you drop in the comments? Let me know what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're listening to, what you're playing, as always. And I hope to talk to you down below as well as over on Mike's Media Reviews. I would love to chat with you on both of them. So drop in the comments, guys, and I will talk to you there. Have an awesome weekend.